From defending Portland's sanctuary city status to administration attempts to deploy National Guard troops into the city, Portland City Councilor Eric Zimmerman has a lot on his plate these days. He's one of the 12 councilors elected last November as part of the expanded Portland City Council. Zimmerman represents District 4, essentially Portland west of the Willamette River. The former chief of staff to Multnomah County Commissioner Julia Brim-Edwards, Eric Zimmerman is an Army veteran who served in Iraq. He is also a member of the Oregon National Guard. So, Councilor Zimmerman, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thanks, Ken. It is great to be here.
Well, the ICE facility in South Portland is in your district. What's your take on the administration attempts to send troops into Portland?
Ultimately, I think we've said time and time again that federal troops on the streets of any American city, particularly in Portland right now, is deeply inappropriate. We have had 2 court orders where the federal judge in Portland stopped that action. We've seen 1 overturn of those, but 1 remains in place. It's really important that we get Portland and the state of Oregon's day in court to make the larger case that there is no situation on the ground that even comes close to being as described by the president's team in Washington, D.C. Every Portlander knows that the majority of what's happening down there are frogs dancing, people dancing, First Amendment rights protests happening. It's okay to not like what the federal government is doing and to protest. The idea that you cannot protest is deeply un-American.
The council voted unanimously for the Protect Portland initiative in response to ICE actions. Practically, what does that do, or what will it do?
In a world where we've got the federal government acting outside of any sort of norms, I think it's been important that Portland City Council, the Portland mayor, that different governments across our community signal to our public what they can expect from us. Portland employees, no city employee will ever participate in anything related to immigration enforcement. If you come to do business at a city building, once you enter a city building, and we have designated what areas are public and what areas are private so that ICE agents are not allowed into those areas, these are incredibly important. It's also important for our employees and our contractors all to know what the differences are between the different types of warrants that we see immigration officials using. So the city of Portland is going to train our employees up. We're signaling to the rest of Portland what they can expect from us. And during a time when the federal government is inserting fear into every single neighborhood in Oregon, and particularly in the metro area, I think it's really important that they know that their local government is not part of that game, and that their local government remains ready to serve them for whatever their needs are. If it's going to a state DMV, if it's coming to a permit office at the city of Portland, or if you have to call 911 because you're in trouble, you shouldn't have fear that that police call is going to somehow be involved with immigration. And so it's important for safe communities that Portland understand where the city of Portland's leadership is at, and I think that that's what that resolution and what the accompanying sanctuary city ordinance did.
How would you expect the council to respond if the administration wins all the federal court cases and troops are ultimately deployed?
I think it's important that we keep making the case. Right now, I think Oregon and I think Portland, we are winning the information campaign. What we have seen is we've seen propaganda at every single level inserted into the dialogue right now. When the press secretary for the president inserts propaganda into the fact situation, you have to know it's not credible. When the Secretary of Homeland Security stands on a roof and doesn't show that it's just a few people standing on a fence line staring back at her.
And a guy in a chicken suit.
And a guy in a chicken suit. That's propaganda. When they invite right-wing influencers in, that's propaganda. What I've asked the mayor to do, and I think this is important, when you're fighting propaganda, if you're wrong, you fight with more propaganda. But when you're right, you fight with facts. One of the judges on the Ninth Circuit said propaganda are not facts, which is why the city of Portland has to fight this with facts. I've told the mayor, and I think all of us have been to a Fred Meyer in the last few years, right? We've seen the blue light security cameras that exist in their parking lots. I think the city of Portland should put one outside the ICE facility, point the camera directly at the front gate of the ICE facility, and turn that thing on as a 24/7 YouTube channel to show not just Portlanders, but all Americans what really is happening on the ground. Facts will beat propaganda. So if we see troops come, what I think Portlanders have done so far has been peaceful protests. They have deeply acknowledged that Oregon National Guard members are members of our community, right? These are people who were enrolled in school just a few weeks ago and have been yanked out of it. That we make sure our disagreement remains with the federal decision, the civilian control. Those decisions are what are putting those people on the line there. And I think Portlanders they get that. And I think that Portlanders understand that we're not going to take the bait that this federal government deeply wants us to take, because we have shown now for over a month what is reasonable First Amendment speech out on the South Waterfront sidewalks.
Is there any conflict in your own mind because you're a member of the Oregon National Guard?
Yeah, I certainly am a member, but I have not been activated. I stand here, I speak as an elected city councilor for my district of 165,000 Portlanders, and that's important that we remain in our civilian roles, that we remain steadfast in our objections. I think that service in the National Guard, service in the reserves is something to be proud of. It remains important that the civilian decisions and how we use our military, we have American norms, and right now we've got a federal government who is breaking American norms. That's important for everybody to understand, and that's why we have to beat all the propaganda that's coming out of DC with facts on the ground. We need the court to finally look at facts on the ground, and I don't think that the last one did. Two of them, they took propaganda as facts, and that was deeply disappointing.
How important is it to maintain Portland's sanctuary city status under these circumstances?
It's paramount to who we are. The idea that if you are in trouble, if you are a witness to a crime, if you're coming to, if you have a street a project on your street, that somehow you have to fear that a City of Portland employee is now going to question your immigration status, that makes for a deeply unsafe community. We need all community members, whether they're immigrants or born in America, that if they're in trouble, they call 911. And we know that in places where police question you about your immigration status, that we see less 911 calls to resolve unsafe situations. So for me, it's paramount to who we are as Americans. I also think we have to deeply question what the hell is going on when we see these raids. They're very targeted on racial profiles. And that inclusion makes everybody knows that this is not just about immigration. There is a deep racial undertone to everything that's going on with ICE's current operations.
We've got a couple minutes left in this interview, and I want to get to this. We're 10 months into the new expanded Portland City Council, 12-person council, and we've seen 6 councilors, including the 4 Democratic Socialists, form a progressive caucus that calls themselves Peacock. You're not in that caucus. You are not Peacock. But how would you describe the dynamics of the council considering the existence of that caucus?
First, I love that we have a city council that's based on district representation now. I think that has been the best change from our old system. And having all of the city resources work for one boss, the mayor, makes us more on the scale of being a normal American city versus our old form. So there's been some good improvements. I also think, it's incumbent upon all of the members of our city council to remember that we are a nonpartisan city council, right? We all have parties that we're registered for, and forming up groups that help you decide how you're going to vote. I think that's okay, but I'm looking for action out of the city council. I think that we've got homeless crisis, we've got a housing crisis, we've got a healthcare crisis, we've got a federal intervention on Portland streets crisis. So I'm looking for action instead of performance, and sometimes I think that those lines get a little blurred when you inject partisan stuff into what it should be a nonpartisan city council.
Again, about 30 seconds left, but I want to ask you about the parks levy that's coming up. Why should Portlanders vote for that? Briefly.
I think Portlanders support more than anything. They support the parks as the greatest asset in Portland. We are facing deep financial hurdles in our funding, our general fund funding. I've endorsed it, I've donated to the campaign, and I'm supporting it for the baseline of I do not want to cut any youth sports, any senior recreation opportunities, and I think this levy will help us do that.
City Councilor Eric Zimmerman, thanks for being on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thanks, Ken.